Thanks to Tor Books for sponsoring this episode of Nerdist News. Now we've got a first look at the Pacific Rim sequel. We've got some Jaeger-sized news rolling in from San Diego Comic-Con. The Tamashii Nations booth just unveiled its line of Pacific Rim Uprising toys, giving us our first real look at the all-new generation of kaiju-killing Jaegers that will hit the big screen in February of next year. Now, the company unveiled 6 new figures, including Gypsy Avenger, who looks like the upgraded version of Gypsy Danger, the Star Jaeger of Pacific Rim. Now, as you can see, these bad boys are way more sleek and streamlined than the lumbering metal behemoths of the first film. If only we could see them in action. Well, guess what? You can, because to accompany the toy reveal, the guys behind the sequel also released a viral video officially introducing us to the massive mechs. Now, the video is presented in an in-world ad for the new Jaegers, and although it was pretty quick, there's actually a lot to mine from this little spot, giving us a ton of clues as to what to expect from Pacific Rim Uprising, which until now has been pretty tightly under wraps, starting with the Jaegers themselves. As we said, we could tell from the toys that they've been majorly upgraded since the last film, but this footage really reinforces that idea. Now, these Jaegers are capable of a lot more than sluggish rock'em sock'em hand-to-claw combat. In the ad, we see them doing everything from delivering roundhouse kicks to busting out some seriously slick onboard weaponry. When the kaiju return from beyond the rift, they better be bringing some all-new moves because the Jaegers have definitely got some. Now, the tone of the video is also pretty intriguing. Clearly, this ad is mimicking the style of an iPhone launch video or a Tesla announcement, all bright lights, shiny surfaces, and hopeful product copy. Now, this seems to suggest that the population has started to anticipate the arrival of the new Jaegers with the same excitement that you might have for a new Mac product. It's a big deal, guys, which of course wasn't the case in Pacific Rim. In that movie, most people had lost their faith in the Jaeger project, so this seems to suggest that the events of the first film helped the Jaegers win the world over to their side. They're heroes, and joining their ranks is huge. And speaking of joining their ranks, the ad ends with our first look at John Boyega as a Jaeger pilot. Boyega is playing Jake Pentecost, son of Stacker Pentecost, Idris Elba's character from the first film. Obviously, this means that the uprising takes place a good 20 to 30 years later, but leaves us wondering if there has been any kaiju sightings in that time. Presumably, the answer is yes, since why else would they keep upgrading the Jaegers if they no longer had kaiju to fight? But we're guessing they're not quite the menace they once were, and this new generation of mechs makes quick work of them, which means we're also guessing something absolutely crazy had to happen at the start of Uprising to make them a serious threat again. Now, there are a few other Easter eggs hidden throughout the trailer. You probably recognize the voice of Ellen McLean reprising her role as the Jaeger AI.
Innovation is our superpower.
McLean rose to fame and earned her role in Pacific Rim after voicing GLaDOS in the Valve game Portal, but she's not the only Valve shout-out in the ad. If you take a magnifying glass to some of that micro text that runs by on the screen, you'll see the code HL3Y3S Gravity Sling. Holy shit! Is that a tease for Half-Life 3 in Pacific Rim? Half-Life 3 confirmed. I wish. It sure does seem that way, but probably it's just the team having a little fun, trolling on us, getting us excited for a game that we know we're never, ever going to ever see, but maybe, hopefully, fingers crossed. But the term gravity sling hidden in there probably means that it isn't just a coincidence that this thing looks a lot like the gravity gun from Half-Life 2, one of the greatest weapons in video game history. Seeing that baby in action and Jaeger size is more than enough to get us in the theater for Pacific Rim Uprising when it hits screens in February 2018. But what do you folks think? Are you pumped for the more athletic Jaegers? Are we going to see some next level kaijus? Is Half-Life 3 confirmed? Let's discuss. And special thanks to Tor Books for sponsoring today's Nerdist News. If you're looking for some new original sci-fi fantasy reading material this summer, Tor Books has a fantastic selection. Find stories from emerging and established writers with no word limits or page limits. You can take your pick between downloadable ebooks and good old-fashioned print. Visit Tor.com for exciting sci-fi fantasy reads.